She and her 6-year-old daughter protected a billionaire CEO from 3 attackers, only to find out it's the same man that paid her to leave his life. Maya, the single word hung in the air between them, charged with 6 years of history, pain, and secrets. Her body went rigid as she stared at the man she'd just saved, the same man who had once paid her $2 million to disappear from his life. "Hello, Ethan," she replied, her voice carefully controlled despite the hurricane of emotions threatening to overwhelm her. His eyes, those piercing blue eyes she'd once loved, moved from her face to the small figure now approaching them. The child's features mirrored his own in ways too striking to ignore. "Is she?" he whispered, his voice breaking. "Not here," Maya cut him off sharply. "Mom." The little girl slipped her hand into Maya's. "Who is this man? Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to save the life of someone who once shattered your heart? To stand face to face with the person who paid you to disappear, only to discover they've been searching for you all along? What would you do if the truth you've protected for years suddenly threatened to unravel in an instant?" This is the story of Maya Fletcher, elite security specialist turned self-defense instructor, and Ethan Drake, the billionaire who once loved her before betrayal tore them apart. But sometimes, fate has a way of forcing us to confront our past when we least expect it. And sometimes, the greatest protector of all is a 6-year-old girl who doesn't realize she's just saved her father's life. If you've ever believed in second chances or wondered if some broken hearts can truly be mended, you're about to witness a journey of forgiveness that will challenge everything you thought you knew about love and trust. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to join me, Mr. Wentworth, as we explore this extraordinary tale of guarded hearts and unexpected redemption. Rain poured relentlessly on the deserted street as Maya Fletcher huddled deeper into her jacket, one hand gripping her 6-year-old daughter, Zoe's small fingers. The neighborhood market was closing in 15 minutes, and they needed food for tomorrow's breakfast. The streetlights cast eerie shadows through the downpour, turning familiar surroundings into something almost sinister. "Stay close, sweetie," Maya murmured, scanning the shadowy street with instinctive vigilance. Her eyes cataloged every dark corner, every parked car, every shifting shadow. At 34, Maya's movements still carried the fluid precision of her former profession. 8 years as an elite private security specialist had permanently altered how she moved through the world, how she assessed threats, how she protected what mattered. And nothing mattered more than Zoe. "Mom, why are those men following that man?" Zoe whispered, her observant eyes catching what most adults would miss. Maya followed her daughter's gaze to an expensive car idling at the curb about 50 yards ahead. A tall man in a tailored suit was walking toward it, his attention on his phone, oblivious to the 3 figures emerging from the alley behind him. Their movements were too synchronized, too purposeful to be random pedestrians seeking shelter from the rain. Predators, Maya thought automatically, recognizing the coordination in their movements, the calculated spacing between them, the bulge of concealed weapons beneath rain-dampened jackets. This wasn't random street crime. It was a targeted attack. "Stay right here," Maya instructed Zoe, placing her behind a parked car. "Don't move until I come back." "But Mom." "Promise me, Zoe." The little girl's eyes were wide but unafraid. She'd been trained for situations like this since she could walk. "I promise." Maya moved swiftly down the sidewalk, calculating distances and timing. The suited man had reached his car, hand extending toward the door handle. The 3 attackers were closing in, the leader pulling something from his jacket that glinted dully in the streetlight. "Sir, behind you," Maya called sharply. The man turned, startled by her voice. The momentary distraction was enough for the lead attacker to lunge forward, but Maya was already there, her body operating on muscle memory and years of training. She blocked the knife thrust with a precise strike to the attacker's wrist, following with a swift elbow to his solar plexus. The man doubled over, gasping. The second attacker reached for his waistband, but froze when a small rock struck his temple with surprising force. Maya glanced back to see Zoe, no longer behind the car, her arm cocked back with another rock. The child's face was set with determination, rain plastering her dark curls to her forehead. "I said stay put," Maya shouted, already pivoting to face the third man. Everything happened in seconds. The suited man, recovering from his initial shock, grabbed the first attacker and slammed him against the car. Maya disabled the second with a precise strike to the knee that sent him crumpling to the wet pavement. The third, seeing his companions neutralized, turned to flee but stopped dead when Zoe's second rock caught him squarely between the shoulder blades. "Mommy taught me to aim," Zoe announced proudly, lowering her arm. "Police, don't move." A patrol car had turned the corner, an officer emerging with weapon drawn. 15 minutes later, Maya sat on the edge of an ambulance, declining medical attention while Zoe proudly recounted their adventure to an admiring police officer. The three attackers were in custody, and the suited man stood several feet away, speaking intensely into his phone. "Situation is contained. I'm fine. No, don't send the security team. Local police handled it." His voice was authoritative, accustomed to giving orders. Something about that voice triggered a distant memory. Maya studied him properly for the first time. Tall, with dark hair now threaded with silver at the temples, sharp features softened slightly by age. Around 40, carrying himself with the unmistakable confidence of extreme wealth and power. He ended his call and approached, his expression shifting from gratitude to shock as he finally got a clear look at her face. Maya, the single word hit her like a physical blow. The voice, the face, now she remembered. Ethan Drake, tech billionaire, former client, former lover. The man who had paid her $2 million to disappear from his life 6 years ago. "Hello, Ethan," she managed, her voice neutral despite the thunder of her heartbeat. "You two know each other?" the police officer asked, looking between them with curiosity. "We've met," Maya said flatly. Ethan couldn't stop staring at her, his composed facade cracking. "I've been looking for you. For years." Maya laughed bitterly. "That's rich, considering you paid me to disappear." "Mom," Zoe had approached, slipping her small hand into Maya's. "Who is this man?" Ethan's gaze dropped to the child, his expression transforming with dawning recognition. He stared at Zoe's features, the shape of her eyes, the set of her jaw, unmistakably his own reflected back at him. "Is she?" he whispered. "Not here," Maya cut him off sharply. "Zoe, this is Mr. Drake. An old client. You saved his life," Zoe said matter-of-factly. "Like in your stories." Ethan knelt to Zoe's level, his movements careful, as if approaching something precious and fragile. "You saved me too, with those rocks. That was very brave. Mom says courage isn't about not being scared. It's about doing what's right even when you are scared." Zoe's voice was solemn, repeating a lesson clearly taught many times. "Your mom is very wise." Ethan's voice was rough with emotion. "Ma'am, we'll need formal statements," the officer interrupted. "And Mr. Drake, your security team just arrived." A black SUV had pulled up, men in suits approaching with purposeful strides. "Give me your address," Ethan said quickly to Maya. "Please, we need to talk." "We have nothing to talk about." Maya pulled Zoe closer to her side. 6 years, Maya. 6 years I've been searching. Please." The desperation in his voice was unmistakable. Something in his plea reached past Maya's defenses. She hesitated, then scribbled her address on a business card and handed it to him. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Don't bring your entourage." "Thank you." He accepted the card like a precious gift, his fingers brushing hers for the briefest moment. As Maya led Zoe away, she felt the weight of Ethan's gaze on her back, heavy with questions she wasn't sure she was ready to answer. Maya barely slept that night, memories flooding back in relentless waves. She remembered the first time she'd met Ethan Drake, 7 years earlier. She'd been 27, already one of the most sought-after security specialists in the country, assigned to protect the rising tech genius during a period of credible death threats. "I don't need a babysitter," he told her dismissively that first day. "Good thing I'm not applying for that position," she'd replied coolly. "I'm here to keep you alive, Mr. Drake, not tuck you in at night." He'd looked at her with new interest then, reassessing his initial judgment. "You're not what I expected. Most people who try to kill you won't be what you expect either. That's why I'm here." Over the months that followed, professional respect had gradually evolved into something deeper. Late nights reviewing security protocols had turned into conversations about their lives, their dreams, their fears. She'd found herself drawn to his brilliant mind, his unexpected humility about his achievements, the way he seemed to truly see her when so many clients treated security personnel like furniture. The memory of their first kiss still burned bright, an impulsive moment after she'd thwarted an attempt on his life during a charity gala. He'd pulled her into an empty office, adrenaline and relief making them both reckless. "I could fire you for this," he'd murmured against her lips. "I could quit," she'd countered, already knowing she wouldn't. Instead, they'd created careful boundaries, professional in public, increasingly intimate in private. For nearly a year, Maya had experienced a happiness she'd never thought possible, loving a man who seemed to value her strength as much as her vulnerability. Until Victoria Drake had decided her brother could do better than a glorified bodyguard. Maya's thoughts were interrupted by Zoe's voice calling from her bedroom. She pushed the memories aside, focusing on the present. Her daughter needed her. The past would have to wait. "Coming, sweetheart." The morning arrived too quickly. Maya moved through her routine mechanically, making Zoe breakfast, arranging for her neighbor, Mrs. Patel, to watch her during the meeting, trying to prepare herself for facing Ethan again. Her apartment was modest but comfortable, the living room filled with Zoe's artwork and books. At 9:58 the next morning, a single knock came at the door. Maya took a deep breath, steeling herself before opening it. Ethan Drake stood in the hallway, dressed in jeans and a simple button-down rather than yesterday's bespoke suit. Without the trappings of wealth, he looked almost like the man she'd first fallen in love with 7 years ago. "You came alone," she observed, stepping aside to let him enter. "You asked me to." He looked around, taking in the evidence of their life together, Zoe's drawings on the refrigerator, the shelf of martial arts trophies, the worn but comfortable furniture. "Where's Zoe?" "With my neighbor. I thought we should talk first." Maya gestured to the couch, remaining standing herself. Ethan nodded, his gaze finally settling on her. "You look good, Maya." "What do you want, Ethan?" She crossed her arms, creating a physical barrier between them. "The truth. Is she mine?" Maya met his gaze unflinchingly. "Yes." The single word seemed to physically affect him. He sank onto the couch, hands trembling slightly. "Why didn't you tell me? You made it quite clear our arrangement was over. $2 million to resolve our situation and disappear, remember?" The bitterness in her voice was impossible to disguise. "I never knew you were pregnant. Would it have mattered?" Ethan looked up, his expression anguished. "Of course it would have mattered. I would never have." "Never have what?" "Asked your head of security to deliver an envelope of cash and termination papers? Had my access to all your properties revoked? Changed your numbers?" Maya's voice rose with each question. "Tell me, Ethan, what would you have done differently?" "Everything." His voice was barely audible. "I would have done everything differently." Maya crossed her arms tighter, the old anger bubbling up. "Well, it's a bit late for that. 6 years late. I've been looking for you since the day you left." "That's not possible. You wanted me gone." Ethan shook his head, running a hand through his hair in a gesture she remembered all too well. "I never wanted you gone. That was Victoria's doing." "Victoria? Your sister?" Maya's surprise was genuine. "She intercepted your messages. Convinced me you'd taken the money and left without a word. She had my head of security handle everything while I was in Tokyo, made it look like I'd authorized it." "Why would she do that?" "Because I told her I was going to ask you to marry me." His words hung in the air between them. "Victoria believed you were after my money, that you'd ruin the company, destroy our family's legacy. She showed me falsified background checks, manufactured evidence of other wealthy men you'd supposedly targeted." Maya stared at him in shock. "And you believed her? When you disappeared with the money without a single message?" "Yes, I believed her. It confirmed everything she'd said. I never received any messages from you. Just the envelope with cash and legal papers from your security chief saying our contract was terminated and I needed to leave immediately. Marcus was working with Victoria. I found out later, fired him, but by then you were gone without a trace." Maya shook her head, pieces falling into place. "So your sister orchestrated the whole thing, and you never questioned it?" "I did question it. I hired private investigators, searched for years. You're very good at disappearing, Maya. It's what I hired you for in the first place." The irony wasn't lost on her. Ethan had hired her as his personal security detail during a period of death threats and corporate espionage. Her ability to move invisibly through the world, to anticipate threats, to protect without being seen had made her exceptional at her job. Those same skills had helped her vanish when she believed he'd discarded her. "Even if what you're saying is true, Maya said cautiously. It doesn't change the fact that you were willing to believe the worst about me. You didn't trust me. I was a fool. Ethan stood, moving toward her with the same intensity she remembered. The biggest mistake of my life was not trusting the woman who had saved my life multiple times, who knew me better than anyone. I've spent 6 years regretting it. And now? What do you want now? To know my daughter. To make amends to you, if that's even possible. To explain myself properly. Maya studied him, looking for the lies, the manipulation. She saw only raw honesty and something else, the same longing she'd glimpsed years ago when they'd crossed the line from professional to personal. Zoe doesn't know about you, she said finally. She thinks her father died before she was born. Pain flashed across Ethan's face. I understand why you told her that. It was easier than explaining that her father paid me to leave. I want to change that narrative, Maya, if you'll let me. Before she could respond, the door opened and Zoe bounded in, her energy immediately filling the room. Mom, Mrs. Patel let me help make samosas, and she stopped, spotting Ethan. Oh, hello again, Mr. Drake. Hello, Zoe, Ethan said, his voice gentler than Maya had ever heard it. Are you still thanking Mom for saving you? Because she saves lots of people. She used to do it as her job before she became a defense teacher. I didn't know she was teaching defense now. Self-defense for women and children, Maya explained. After Zoe was born, I needed something with regular hours. She's the best teacher, Zoe declared proudly. She says everyone deserves to feel safe. Maya watched Ethan absorb this, saw him looking at their daughter with wonder and regret. Zoe, honey, Mr. Drake and I need to talk about some grown-up things. Can you go work on your science project in your room for a bit? Is everything okay? Zoe's perceptiveness was sometimes unsettling. Everything's fine, sweetheart. Just some old business. Once Zoe had reluctantly retreated, Maya turned back to Ethan. I can't just upend her life because you've reappeared. She's happy, stable. We've built a good life. I can see that. She's incredible, Maya. You've done an amazing job. I've done everything for her. Moved cities, changed careers, built a whole new identity. Let me help now. Not because you need it, but because she deserves to know her father. Because I've missed 6 years I can never get back. Maya felt her resolve wavering. What about your life? The papers say you're engaged to Sophia Reynolds. That engagement ended 2 months ago. Sophia realized I was still searching for someone else. He stepped closer. Still searching for you. Ethan, I'm not asking for forgiveness, Maya. I don't deserve it. I'm asking for a chance to know my daughter. To show you both that I'm not the man who let you go 6 years ago. Maya studied him. This powerful man who looked so vulnerable standing in her modest living room. If, and it's a big if, I allow you into Zoe's life, we do it slowly. On my terms. Her well-being comes first. Absolutely. Whatever you think is best. And you need to understand something. I'm not the same woman who protected you years ago. I don't need your money or your approval or anything from you except respect for my role in Zoe's life. I respect everything about you, Maya. I always have. The sincerity in his voice pulled at something long buried. Maya remembered how it had been before everything fell apart. The stolen moments between security details, the late-night conversations, the gradual realization that their professional relationship had evolved into something neither had anticipated. Let me call Zoe back in, she said finally. We can start with the truth, a simplified version, appropriate for her age. That you knew me before she was born, that you've been looking for us, that you're her father. Thank you, Ethan whispered, his composure cracking. Thank you for giving me this chance. Maya moved to Zoe's bedroom door, her heart pounding. How did you tell a 6-year-old that everything she believed about her father was about to change? That the man she'd helped save from attackers yesterday was actually her dad? Zoe, can you come out, please? She kept her voice steady, not wanting to alarm her daughter. Zoe emerged clutching her science project, a detailed model of the solar system that she'd been working on for days. Can I show Mr. Drake my planets? Of course, but first, we need to talk about something important. Zoe's expression turned serious as she placed her project carefully on the coffee table. She climbed onto the couch opposite Ethan, looking between the adults with curious eyes. Zoe, Maya began, sitting beside her daughter. Remember how I told you that your dad couldn't be part of our lives? The little girl nodded. Because he died before I was born. Maya saw Ethan flinch, but continued. Well, that wasn't exactly true. I told you that because I thought it would be easier for you to understand. You lied. Zoe's voice was small, confused. I was trying to protect you. Sometimes grown-ups think they're doing the right thing, but they make mistakes. Maya took a deep breath. Your father didn't die. He's alive, and he's been looking for us for a long time. Zoe's eyes widened as she looked at Ethan. Is he my dad? Ethan leaned forward slightly, his voice gentle. Yes, Zoe. I'm your father. But Zoe looked to Maya for confirmation. But why weren't you with us? Didn't you want me? I didn't know about you. Ethan answered before Maya could speak. There was a misunderstanding, a big one, between your mom and me. I thought she wanted to leave, and she thought I wanted her to go. By the time I realized what had happened, you were both gone. So you didn't know I existed? Zoe was struggling to process this information. No, I didn't. And that makes me very sad, because I've missed 6 years of watching you grow up. But I've been searching for your mom all this time, hoping to find you both. Zoe considered this, her young face solemn. Is that why you looked so surprised when you saw me yesterday? Because you didn't know about me? Yes. Seeing you was the most wonderful surprise of my life. Zoe turned to Maya. Is that why you were acting weird last night? Because you saw my dad? Maya nodded. It was unexpected for both of us. Are you going to be in my life now? Zoe asked Ethan directly. Or are you going to disappear again? I would like very much to be in your life, if you and your mom are okay with that. I've missed so much time with you already. I don't want to miss any more. Maya watched their exchange with a mixture of emotions. Ethan was handling this better than she'd expected, speaking to Zoe with honesty but age-appropriate simplicity. Do you have other kids? Zoe asked suddenly. No, you're my only child, Ethan replied. Do you have a wife? No, but you have a big company, right? Mom showed me a magazine with your picture once. She said you were very smart. Maya felt heat rise to her cheeks as Ethan glanced at her with surprise. I do have a company, he confirmed. But right now, getting to know you is much more important to me than any business. Zoe seemed to consider this carefully. I have a lot of questions. I'm sure you do. And I promise to answer all of them as honestly as I can. Can I think about it first? Zoe looked between the adults. This is a lot. Of course, sweetheart, Maya assured her. There's no rush. We can take all the time you need. Maybe I could finish showing you my science project first. Zoe suggested to Ethan. It's the solar system. I made all the planets to scale. I'd love to see it, Ethan said, genuine enthusiasm in his voice. As Zoe launched into a detailed explanation of her project, Maya watched the man she'd once loved interact with the daughter he'd never known he had. Ethan listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions that made Zoe beam with pride. There was no condescension in his manner, no adult-to-child patronizing. He spoke to her as a person with valid thoughts and ideas. It was the same quality that had first drawn Maya to him years ago, his ability to truly see people, to value them for who they were rather than what they could do for him. Seeing it now, directed at their daughter, made something shift in Maya's carefully guarded heart. If you're really my dad, Zoe said suddenly, interrupting her own explanation of Neptune's orbital pattern, do I have other family too? Like grandparents or aunts or uncles? Ethan hesitated, glancing at Maya. You have a grandmother, my mother, and an aunt, my sister Victoria. Will I meet them? That's something your mom and I need to discuss first. His careful answer acknowledged Maya's authority, respecting her role as Zoe's primary parent. Maya appreciated his tact, especially regarding Victoria. The last thing Zoe needed was to be exposed to the woman who had orchestrated their separation, if Ethan's story was true. I think that's enough for today, Maya said gently. Mr. Drake, your dad, will come back another time, and we can talk more then. Can he come tomorrow? Zoe asked eagerly. I have my karate demonstration at the community center. Mom's been teaching me. Ethan looked to Maya, leaving the decision entirely to her. If he's not too busy, Maya replied cautiously. I'll be there, Ethan promised. Just tell me when and where. After they'd settled the details for the next day's meeting, Maya walked Ethan to the door while Zoe returned to her room to work on her project. Thank you, Ethan said quietly, for giving me this chance with her, for not poisoning her against me. Contrary to what you might have believed, I'm not vindictive, Maya replied. Zoe deserves to form her own opinions about you. I know, and I know I have a lot to prove to both of you. Yes, you do. Maya hesitated, then added, for what it's worth, you handled that well with her. Better than I expected. A flicker of hope crossed Ethan's face. I meant what I said, Maya. I want to be part of her life. I want to be the father she deserves. Then prove it. Show up tomorrow. And the day after that. And all the days that follow. Because if you disappoint her, if you walk away again, I will make sure you never get another chance. I understand. I won't let either of you down again. As the door closed behind him, Maya leaned against it, emotions threatening to overwhelm her. 6 years of carefully constructed walls were beginning to crack, and she wasn't sure if she was ready for what might come flooding through. I hope you're enjoying this emotional journey of rediscovery and second chances. If you are, please hit that like button and subscribe to Lux Love Chronicles for more powerful stories of love, forgiveness, and growth. Now, let's continue following Maya and Ethan's complicated path forward. The community center buzzed with activity as parents and children gathered for the Saturday morning martial arts demonstration. Maya adjusted Zoe's white belt one last time, her fingers moving with practiced precision. Is he coming? Zoe asked, scanning the crowd for what felt like the 100th time. He said he would be here, Maya replied, keeping her voice neutral. She'd been careful not to build up Ethan's promise, protecting Zoe from potential disappointment. What if he forgot? Or what if he decided he doesn't want to be my dad after all? Worry creased Zoe's small forehead. Then that would be his loss, not yours. Maya tucked a stray curl behind her daughter's ear. But let's give him a chance, okay? He might just be running late. Just as the words left her mouth, the crowd near the entrance parted, and Ethan appeared. He dressed casually again, jeans and a sweater rather than his usual business attire, but still managed to draw attention. Several parents turned to look, recognition dawning on their faces as they identified the famous tech billionaire in their midst. He came. Zoe's face lit up. Maya felt an unexpected rush of gratitude. One promise kept. It was a start. Ethan spotted them and made his way over, ignoring the whispers that followed him. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Traffic was heavier than I expected. You're here before it starts. That's what matters, Maya said. You look ready to show off some serious skills, Ethan told Zoe, kneeling to her level. Your mom says you've been working really hard. I'm going to break a board today, Zoe announced proudly. With my foot. That sounds impressive. I can't wait to see it. Parents in the audience, please, called Maya's assistant instructor. Demonstrators, line up on the mat. That's me, Zoe said. Watch carefully, okay? We won't miss a thing, Ethan promised. As Zoe joined the other children on the mat, Maya and Ethan found seats in the audience. They sat in awkward silence for a moment, both acutely aware of the curious glances from other parents. She seems excited about the demonstration, Ethan observed. She's been practicing that board break for weeks, Maya replied. She's determined to get it right the first time. She gets that from you, that focused determination. And her analytical approach is all you. The way she breaks down problems into solvable parts. Ethan smiled at that. It's strange, seeing parts of yourself in someone you just met. Try carrying those parts for 9 months, then raising them for 6 years, Maya countered, but without the bitterness that might have colored such a comment days earlier. The demonstration began with the youngest children, including Zoe's group, showing basic stances and blocks. Maya watched with the pride of both a mother and an instructor as Zoe executed each move with precision beyond her years. You taught her well, Ethan murmured. She has your form. She's a natural. Picks things up faster than most of my adult students. When it came time for the board-breaking demonstration, Zoe stepped forward confidently. Her instructor held a thin wooden board at chest height, explaining the technique to the audience. Focus, Zoe, Maya whispered, though her daughter couldn't hear her. Visualize breaking through. Beside her, Ethan had gone completely still, his attention entirely on their daughter. Zoe took a deep breath, assumed her stance, and with a sharp ki, delivered a perfect front kick that snapped the board cleanly in two. The audience applauded, but Zoe's eyes immediately sought out her parents. Maya gave her a thumbs up, while Ethan's face showed unabashed pride and amazement. That's my daughter, he said softly, almost to himself. Maya heard the wonder in his voice, the realization that this remarkable little person was part of him. It was the same awe she'd felt the first time she'd held Zoe in her arms. After the demonstration, Zoe ran to them, clutching her broken board. Did you see? I did it. You were amazing, Ethan told her, accepting her enthusiastic hug with surprise and delight. That was a perfect break. Mom taught me that power comes from proper technique, not just strength. Your mom is very wise. Ethan glanced at Maya with something like admiration. She always has been. Can we get ice cream to celebrate? Zoe asked, still riding the high of her success. If your mom says it's okay. Ethan deferred to Maya again, establishing the pattern of respecting her parental authority. Maya hesitated only briefly. I think ice cream is definitely in order for such a great performance. The small ice cream parlor 2 blocks from the community center was crowded, but they managed to find a table near the window. Zoe licked her chocolate cone enthusiastically while regaling Ethan with stories of her training. Mom says I can start competition team when I'm 7 if I keep practicing, she explained. But I have to maintain my grades too. That sounds like a good balance, Ethan replied. School is important. I know. I like school. I'm good at math and science. My teacher says I think like an engineer. Maya watched Ethan's face light up at this information. His own background was in engineering before he'd moved into tech development. Would you like to see my company's engineering lab sometime? He asked cautiously, glancing at Maya for approval. Can I, Mom? Please. Zoe's excitement was palpable. Maybe. We'll see how things go. Maya wasn't ready to commit to further integration of Ethan into their lives just yet. I understand, Ethan said, reading her hesitation. It's an open invitation, whenever you're both comfortable with it. The conversation flowed more easily than Maya had expected, with Zoe serving as a natural bridge between them. She peppered Ethan with questions about his work, his life, his interests, building a picture of the father she'd never known. Do you like chess? She asked suddenly. Mom taught me, but she says I need more challenging opponents. I do like chess. I used to play competitively in college. Will you play with me sometime? I'd love to, though I have a feeling you might give me a real challenge. As they walked back to Maya's apartment, Zoe skipped ahead, occasionally stopping to examine interesting rocks or leaves on the sidewalk. She's extraordinary, Ethan said quietly. You've done an amazing job raising her. It hasn't been easy, Maya admitted. But she's worth every sleepless night, every sacrifice. I wish I could have helped. Been there for both of you. You can't change the past, Ethan. What matters now is what you do going forward. He nodded, hands in his pockets as they walked. I know, and I meant what I said yesterday. I want to be part of her life. Part of your lives, if you'll let me. Let's focus on Zoe for now. She's the priority here. Of course. He hesitated, then added, there's something else I need to tell you. About Victoria. Maya tensed. What about her? She's in town. She called this morning, wants to meet for dinner tonight. She doesn't know about Zoe yet, or that I've found you. Are you going to tell her? I need to, eventually. But I wanted to talk to you first, see how you want to handle it. Maya appreciated his consideration, though the thought of Victoria Drake knowing about Zoe filled her with apprehension. I don't want her anywhere near Zoe. Not until we're certain she won't try to interfere again. I agree. I'll keep the focus on what she did to us, the manipulation, the lies. She needs to understand the consequences of her actions before there's any possibility of her meeting Zoe. They'd reached Maya's apartment building. Zoe had already raced up the steps, waiting impatiently at the door. Call me after you've spoken with her, Maya said. I want to know how she reacts. I will. Ethan glanced up at Zoe, then back to Maya. Thank you for today, for letting me be part of it. You made her happy by showing up. That's worth something. As they said their goodbyes, Maya found herself wondering if Victoria Drake was truly the only obstacle they'd faced 6 years ago, or if Ethan had played a more willing role in their separation than he was admitting. Trust was still a fragile, uncertain thing between them, and she wasn't ready to simply accept his version of events without question. That evening, after Zoe had gone to bed, Maya sat in her small living room, staring at old photographs she rarely allowed herself to look at. Images from her time with Ethan, at galas, at his beach house, candid moments captured when they thought no one was watching. In each one, their connection was obvious, their happiness seemingly genuine. Had it all been real? Or had she been merely a diversion for him, easily discarded when his family objected? Her phone rang, startling her from her reverie. Ethan's name appeared on the screen. How did it go? She asked without preamble. About as well as could be expected, Ethan replied, his voice weary. She denied everything at first, then tried to justify her actions as protecting me and the company. Did she admit to orchestrating the whole thing? Eventually, yes. When I confronted her with the evidence I've gathered over the years, the timeline discrepancies, Marcus's eventual confession, the forged documents, she couldn't keep denying it. And how did she react when you told her you found me? There was a slight pause. She's concerned, to put it mildly. She still believes you were after my money, that your reappearance is some kind of scheme. Of course she does. Maya's voice was bitter. And what about Zoe? How did she react to learning she has a niece? Another, longer pause. I didn't tell her about Zoe yet. Why not? Because I want to protect Zoe from her judgment and interference, at least until Victoria has processed the fact that you're back in my life. One bombshell at a time. Maya considered this. That's probably wise. But she'll have to know eventually. I know. And I'll tell her, when the time is right. But I meant what I said. I won't let her anywhere near Zoe until I'm certain she won't try to cause problems. And if she does try to interfere again, then I'll make it very clear that if I have to choose between my sister and my daughter, there's no choice at all. The conviction in his voice was reassuring. Still, Maya knew how persuasive Victoria Drake could be, how effectively she'd manipulated her brother once before. I hope you mean that, Ethan. Because I won't let anyone hurt Zoe, not even her father's sister. I understand. And Maya, thank you for giving me another chance with her. With you. I know I don't deserve it. After they hung up, Maya returned to the photographs, studying them with new eyes. The man she'd seen today, the one who'd watched their daughter with wonder and pride, who'd deferred to Maya's parental authority, who'd promised to protect Zoe from his own sister's interference, seemed more like the man she'd fallen in love with than the one who had supposedly paid her to disappear. Could she trust him again? Could she risk her heart, her carefully constructed life, their daughter's emotional well-being on the belief that Ethan Drake had truly changed? Or that he had never been the villain in their story to begin with? The questions swirled in her mind, unanswered, as rain began to fall outside her window, a gentle echo of the storm that had brought them face to face once more. The next few weeks established a tentative routine. Ethan visited Zoe regularly, always respectful of Maya's boundaries, never pushing for more than she was willing to give. He attended Zoe's school science fair, helped with her homework, played chess with her on Sunday afternoons. With each visit, each kept promise, each genuine connection with their daughter, Maya felt her defenses weaken slightly. This was not the behavior of a man simply going through the motions or fulfilling an obligation. This was a father desperately trying to make up for lost time, to forge a relationship with the child he'd never known. He's different than I expected, Maya admitted to her friend Layla over coffee one morning. They'd met in a self-defense class years ago and had become close confidants. Different how? Layla asked, stirring her latte thoughtfully. More present, more genuine. When he's with Zoe, it's like nothing else in the world matters. No phone calls, no business emergencies, just complete focus on her. And with you? Maya hesitated. Respectful, careful, like he's walking on eggshells, afraid to say or do the wrong thing. Can you blame him? You hold all the cards, Maya. Access to his daughter, the truth about what happened 6 years ago. Of course he's careful around you. You think I'm being too hard on him? I think you're being appropriately cautious. But I also think that at some point, you need to decide if you're going to truly let him into your lives or keep him permanently at arm's length. The question lingered in Maya's mind that evening as she watched Ethan and Zoe huddled over a chessboard. Their heads were bent close together, dark hair, so similar in shade and texture, catching the lamplight as Ethan patiently explained a complex strategy. See, if you move your knight here, he was saying, you create a fork that threatens both my queen and my rook. Zoe's face lit up with understanding. So you can only save one. Exactly. That's good tactical thinking. Mom taught me to look for opportunities where I can threaten two things at once. Your mom is an excellent strategist. Always has been. Zoe made the move, capturing Ethan's rook when he chose to save his queen. Her triumphant smile was so reminiscent of her father's that Maya felt a physical ache in her chest. Later, after Zoe had gone to bed, Ethan lingered in the living room, helping Maya clean up the dinner dishes. She's getting really good at chess, he commented. She'll be beating me without a handicap soon. She's determined. Once she sets her mind to something, there's no stopping her. Like her mother. Ethan handed Maya a plate to dry. Speaking of determination, there's something I wanted to discuss with you. What's that? Victoria has been asking to meet with you. Maya nearly dropped the plate. Absolutely not. That's what I told her. But she's persistent. She claims she wants to apologize in person for what she did. And you believe her? Ethan sighed. Honestly, I'm not sure. She seems genuinely remorseful, but Victoria has always been good at presenting the face she thinks people want to see. I'm not interested in her apologies, Ethan. 6 years too late. I understand. I just thought you should know she's asking. They worked in silence for a few moments, the domestic routine feeling strangely comfortable despite their complicated history. There's something else, Ethan said finally. The annual Drake Foundation Gala is next month. I'd like Zoe to attend, as my daughter. It would mean publicly acknowledging her, making her officially part of my life. Maya stilled, dish towel in hand. That's a big step. I know, but I'm tired of hiding the truth. I want the world to know she's my daughter. I want her to have all the legal protections and benefits that come with being acknowledged as a Drake. And the scrutiny? The media attention? Have you thought about what that would mean for her? I have. I wouldn't suggest it if I didn't think we could manage it properly, protect her from the worst of it. We, you and me, together, co-parents. The word hung between them, laden with implications. Co-parents. A permanent connection, a lifetime of shared decisions and coordinated efforts. I need to think about it, Maya said finally. This isn't just about legal recognition. This is about changing Zoe's entire life. I understand. Take all the time you need. Ethan placed the last dried dish in the cabinet. And Maya, whatever you decide, I respect your judgment. You've been an incredible mother to her. I wouldn't change a single decision you've made in raising her. The sincerity in his voice touched something deep inside her. For 6 years, she'd made every parenting decision alone, shouldered every responsibility, celebrated every milestone without a partner to share it with. Having Ethan acknowledge the weight of that, appreciate the job she'd done rather than criticize her choices, it meant more than she'd expected. Thank you, she said softly. That means a lot. As Ethan prepared to leave, gathering his coat and keys, Maya found herself reluctant to end the evening. These moments of quiet domesticity had become increasingly common over the past weeks, simple, ordinary times that somehow felt profound in their normalcy. Same time on Saturday? Ethan asked. Zoe mentioned wanting to visit the aquarium. She's been obsessed with marine biology since her class field trip last month. I know. She's been telling me all about dolphin intelligence and octopus problem-solving skills. Maya smiled. Saturday works. But Ethan? Let's keep the public acknowledgement discussion between us for now. I don't want to mention it to Zoe until we've made a decision. Of course. This is your call, Maya. I meant what I said. I respect your judgment. As she closed the door behind him, Maya leaned against it, emotions swirling. The man who had just left her apartment was so different from the Ethan Drake portrayed in business magazines and technology blogs. That Ethan was ruthless, brilliant, intimidating, a titan of industry who had built a tech empire through sheer force of will and intellect. The Ethan who visited their home was gentler, more vulnerable. The man who patiently explained chess strategies to a 6-year-old, who listened to her ramble about marine life with genuine interest, who looked at Maya with a mixture of regret and hope that made her heart ache. Which was the real Ethan Drake? The business mogul or the dedicated father? The man who had let her go 6 years ago, or the one who claimed to have spent those years searching for her? Or were they all aspects of the same complex person, a man who had made mistakes but was genuinely trying to make amends? The questions followed Maya into restless dreams where past and present collided, where trust and betrayal danced in shadows, where the lines between protection and forgiveness blurred into uncertainty. Is this story touching your heart? If you're enjoying this tale of second chances and healing, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Lux Love Chronicles for more powerful stories that remind us love can sometimes be found where we least expect it, even in the places where it was once lost. The morning of the aquarium visit dawned bright and clear. Maya watched as Zoe meticulously packed her small backpack with a notebook, colored pencils, and the marine life guidebook she'd checked out from the library. "Do you think Dad knows a lot about fish?" Zoe asked casually, testing the new word on her tongue. Maya paused, struck by how quickly Zoe had adapted to calling Ethan Dad. It had started just a few days earlier, tentatively at first, then with increasing confidence, as Ethan's obvious delight encouraged her. "I'm not sure," Maya answered honestly. "Why don't you ask him when he gets here?" "I will. I want to know if he can help me identify all the species on my checklist." Zoe held up a handwritten list of marine creatures she hoped to spot. The doorbell rang precisely at 10 o'clock. Ethan's punctuality was something Maya had once treasured about him, a rare quality in her experience with clients who often expected security personnel to adjust to their ever-changing schedules. "Dad," Zoe launched herself at Ethan the moment Maya opened the door. "Do you know about fish? I have a whole list of species I want to find today." Ethan caught her with practiced ease, their physical bond growing more natural with each visit. "I know some things about marine biology. I funded a research program at the Oceanographic Institute a few years ago and learned quite a bit from the scientists there." "Perfect. You can help me with my checklist then." Zoe wriggled down and tugged him toward the living room to show him her preparations. Maya observed them together, noting how Ethan crouched to Zoe's level, giving her his complete attention as she explained her elaborate classification system. His genuine interest in her passions, his willingness to enter her world rather than pulling her into his. These were the actions that were gradually dismantling Maya's carefully constructed defenses. "Ready to go?" she asked, gathering her own bag. The aquarium was crowded with weekend visitors, but Ethan had somehow arranged for a behind-the-scenes tour that allowed them to avoid the worst of the crowds. As they followed their guide through restricted areas, Zoe's excitement was contagious. "And this is our rehabilitation tank," the marine biologist explained, leading them to a large pool where several injured sea turtles swam. These turtles were rescued after being injured by boat propellers or entangled in fishing nets. "We treat them here until they're healthy enough to return to the ocean." "Do they all get better?" Zoe asked, pressing her hands against the viewing glass. "Most do, but some injuries are too severe for full recovery. Those turtles become permanent residents in our sanctuary area. So you protect them when they can't protect themselves," Zoe said thoughtfully. "Like what Mom does with her self-defense classes." The biologist smiled. "That's a good comparison. We're all trying to keep vulnerable creatures safe." Maya felt Ethan's gaze on her. When she met his eyes, the admiration there was unmistakable. "Your mom is very good at protecting others," he said quietly. "She protected you from those bad men," Zoe reminded him. "She did. And many times before that, too." As they continued the tour, Maya found herself relaxing into the day. There was something undeniably right about being here together, watching Zoe's face light up with each new discovery, sharing knowing glances with Ethan when their daughter made particularly insightful observations. Their daughter. The thought slipped into her mind unbidden, but Maya didn't immediately reject it as she might have weeks earlier. Biologically, undeniably, Zoe was their child, a perfect blend of them both. And seeing Ethan with her now, his patient answers to her endless questions, his gentle encouragement of her curiosity, Maya could no longer deny that he was becoming a true father to Zoe in every way that mattered. "Look, Mom, Dad, they're letting us touch the stingrays," Zoe called excitedly as they entered the interactive tide pool area. They joined their daughter at the shallow pool, where docents were supervising visitors, gently touching the velvety backs of small stingrays as they glided through the water. "Remember, just 2 fingers, very gentle," the attendant instructed Zoe. "I know," she replied seriously. "They're delicate, even though they look tough." Ethan glanced at Maya. "Sound like anyone we know?" The comment caught Maya off guard. Had he always seen that about her, the vulnerability beneath her capable exterior? Or was this a new perception, born from seeing her as a mother rather than just a protector? Before she could respond, Zoe gasped in delight as a stingray brushed beneath her fingertips. "It's so soft. Dad, you try." The rest of the day passed in a similar fashion, moments of discovery interspersed with unexpected connections. By the time they stopped for a late lunch at the aquarium cafe, Maya found herself seated across from Ethan, watching him help Zoe complete her species checklist, feeling something dangerously close to contentment. "We saw 23 of the 30 species on my list," Zoe announced proudly. "That's..." She paused, calculating in her head. "That's 76.66%. "Impressive math," Ethan remarked, looking equal parts surprised and proud. Mom taught me percentages last month when we were calculating my karate tournament scores. Your mom is an excellent teacher. Ethan's gaze shifted to Maya, something warm and appreciative in his expression. Yes, but you're good at explaining things too, Zoe said. You make complicated things simple, like when you showed me how the aquarium filtration system works. Different teaching styles, both valuable, Maya observed, surprising herself with the generosity of the comment. Ethan looked equally surprised, a cautious smile forming. We make a good team that way. The words hung between them, laden with possibility. A team, co-parents, partners in raising this extraordinary child. The thought was both terrifying and strangely appealing. As they walked through the gift shop on their way out, Zoe's attention was captured by a display of plush marine animals. Can I look at the toys while you talk? She asked, sensing the adult conversation brewing between her parents. Stay where we can see you, Maya instructed, watching as Zoe moved to the nearby display, still within eyesight. She had a good time today, Ethan said softly. Yes, she did. Thank you for arranging the private tour. It was my pleasure. Seeing her so excited, so curious about everything. It's incredible, Maya. You've raised her to be thoughtful and engaged with the world. She came that way, Maya demurred. I just try not to mess it up. Don't do that. Do what? Minimize what you've accomplished with her. She's extraordinary because you've given her the security and confidence to explore her potential. That doesn't happen by accident. The sincerity in his voice made Maya's chest tighten. I've done my best. Your best is remarkable. Ethan hesitated, then added, have you thought any more about the gala? About acknowledging Zoe publicly? Maya had thought of little else for days. I'm still concerned about the attention it would bring. The media scrutiny. The questions about where she's been for 6 years, why you're only acknowledging her now. We could control the narrative. A simple statement about a mutual misunderstanding, a period of separation during which you didn't know how to reach me. No details that would harm Zoe's perception of either of us. And Victoria? How does she feel about her brother publicly claiming a child with the woman she tried to remove from your life? Ethan's expression hardened slightly. Victoria's feelings are irrelevant. She caused enough damage 6 years ago. She doesn't get a vote now. She's still your sister. Still a powerful influence in your company and your life. Not anymore. Not where you and Zoe are concerned. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Maya remembered from their time together. I've made it clear to her that if she can't accept you both as permanent parts of my life, then our relationship will be limited to necessary business interactions. Maya studied him, looking for any hesitation or doubt in his eyes. She found none. You've really changed, haven't you? In some ways. In others, I've simply remembered who I was before I let fear and manipulation cloud my judgment. He moved slightly closer. Maya, I'm not asking for your forgiveness or for us to pick up where we left off. I'm just asking for the chance to be Zoe's father in every sense of the word, legally, publicly, completely. Before Maya could respond, Zoe returned, clutching a plush octopus. Can I get this? I saved my allowance. The moment broken, both adults turned their attention to their daughter. But Maya carried Ethan's words with her as they completed their purchase and headed toward the parking lot. As they reached their cars, Zoe hugged her new plush toy close. This was the best day. Can we do more family things together? Family things. The phrase echoed in Maya's mind as she met Ethan's gaze over their daughter's head. Something significant was shifting between them, a tentative bridge forming over the chasm of their past. We'll plan more outings soon, Maya promised, not missing the hope that flickered across Ethan's face. As they prepared to part ways, Ethan knelt to give Zoe a goodbye hug. Thank you for teaching me about marine conservation today. I learned a lot from you. You're welcome. Next time I can show you my book about space. I have one with pictures of all the galaxies. I'd like that very much. Watching them together, Maya made her decision. Ethan, about the gala. If we do this, if we acknowledge Zoe publicly, I need your absolute guarantee that you'll protect her from any negative fallout. Your world isn't like ours. The scrutiny, the expectations. I know, he interrupted gently. And you have my word. Her well-being comes first, always. Then yes, we can tell her about it and see how she feels. The relief and joy that transformed his face told Maya everything she needed to know about his priorities. This wasn't about claiming an heir or appeasing his ego. This was about truly integrating Zoe into his life, giving her the recognition and security of being publicly acknowledged as his daughter. "Thank you," he said simply, "for trusting me with this." "I'm trying," Maya admitted. "It's not easy, but I'm trying." The week leading up to the gala was filled with careful preparations. After explaining to Zoe what the event would mean, that she would be officially introduced as Ethan Drake's daughter, they'd been surprised by her practical response. "So people will know you're my dad? And that means I get to see you whenever I want?" she'd asked. "That's right," Ethan had confirmed. "And we'll still live with Mom and do everything the same, just with you visiting more?" "Exactly. Nothing changes in your daily life unless you want it to." Zoe had considered this with her characteristic thoughtfulness. "Okay, but I don't want to wear an uncomfortable dress. And I want Mom there too." "Those are very reasonable conditions," Ethan had agreed, sharing an amused glance with Maya. Now, as they drove to Ethan's penthouse where a stylist waited to help Zoe find a suitable but comfortable outfit for the gala, Maya found herself reflecting on how much had changed in the few months since that rainy night when they protected Ethan from attackers. "Are you nervous about tonight?" she asked Zoe, watching her in the rearview mirror. "A little. Will there be other kids there?" "A few, I think. Children of other guests." "Will they know I'm Dad's daughter before we announce it?" "No, sweetheart. That's why tonight is special. It's when everyone will find out." Zoe nodded, processing this. "Do you think they'll like me?" The vulnerability in the question made Maya's heart ache. "Everyone who gets to know you loves you, Zoe. Just be your wonderful self. Dad says I should just focus on talking to him and you if I get overwhelmed. He says big parties can be a lot, even for grown-ups. Your dad is right about that." Maya smiled slightly, appreciating Ethan's sensitivity to their daughter's potential discomfort. When they arrived at Ethan's building, the doorman greeted them by name, clearly instructed to expect them. The private elevator whisked them to the penthouse level, where Ethan waited to welcome them. "The stylist is all set up in the guest room," he told them after greeting Zoe with a warm hug. She brought several options that should be both appropriate and comfortable. "No itchy fabric," Zoe reminded him firmly. "I specifically mentioned that requirement," he assured her with mock seriousness. As Zoe went with the stylist to try on outfits, Maya took in Ethan's home for the first time. The penthouse was impressive, floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic city views, elegant furnishings, undoubtedly expensive art on the walls, but it lacked the cold showroom quality she might have expected. There were books everywhere, comfortable seating arranged for conversation rather than appearance, and surprisingly personal touches scattered throughout. "Your home is beautiful," she observed. "Different than I imagined." "What did you imagine?" "Something more sterile, corporate." Ethan smiled slightly. "That was the old penthouse. I moved about 4 years ago, wanted something that felt more like a home." He hesitated, then added quietly, "After you left, I realized how empty my life had become. All the trappings of success meant nothing without someone to share it with." Before Maya could respond to this surprisingly vulnerable admission, they heard Zoe's excited voice from the other room. "Mom, Dad, come see this one." They found her twirling in a deep blue dress with subtle sparkles that caught the light as she moved. It was elegant enough for the gala but had the full skirt and comfortable fabric that would allow a 6-year-old to be herself. "It has pockets," Zoe announced triumphantly, demonstrating by plunging her hands into deep side pockets hidden in the skirt's folds. "It's perfect," Maya agreed, exchanging a smile with Ethan over their daughter's evident delight. "And look, there's a matching one for you, Mom." Zoe pointed to a sophisticated gown in the same deep blue hanging nearby. Maya froze, looking questioningly at Ethan. "I took the liberty of asking the stylist to bring options for you as well," he explained. "Only if you want, of course. No pressure." I didn't bring anything appropriate for a gala," Maya admitted, caught off guard by the thoughtful gesture. "Try it on, Mom. Then we'll match." Zoe's excitement was hard to resist. "Just consider it," Ethan suggested gently. "The stylist brought several choices in your size." After the stylist had helped Zoe change back into her regular clothes and left them to discuss options, Ethan showed them around the rest of the penthouse. Maya noted with interest that one room had clearly been prepared with Zoe in mind, stocked with books, art supplies, and games appropriate for her age. "I wanted her to have a space here," Ethan explained, seeing Maya's surprise. "For visits, if that's okay with you." The gesture touched Maya deeply. He wasn't just acknowledging Zoe publicly. He was creating a place for her in his daily life, his home. "It's wonderful," she said softly. "She'll love having her own space here. And this room is for you," Ethan added, opening a door to reveal a tastefully decorated guest suite. "For emergencies or late nights, or whatever circumstances might arise where you need a place to stay in the city." Maya stepped into the room, noting the subtle touches that showed how much thought he'd put into it, the type of reading lamp she preferred, a small selection of books by authors she'd mentioned enjoying, even the specific brand of bath products she'd used years ago. "You remembered all this?" she asked, picking up a novel she'd once told him was her favorite. "I remember everything about you, Maya." His voice was quiet but intense. "The important things, anyway. The things that mattered." She turned to face him, struck by the earnestness in his expression. "Ethan, Mom, Dad, come look at the view from the big window," Zoe called from the living room, interrupting the moment. As they joined their daughter at the panoramic windows, Maya found herself standing between the two people who now formed the center of her world, one who had always been her heart's compass, and one who was slowly finding his way back from exile. Later that evening, as a car service arrived to take them to the gala, Maya emerged from the guest room wearing the deep blue gown that matched Zoe's dress. She'd initially resisted, but Zoe's enthusiasm and the undeniable quality of the dress had won her over. Ethan's expression when he saw her made the decision worthwhile. He stared, momentarily speechless, before collecting himself. "You look beautiful," he said simply. "Both of you." Zoe twirled again, delighted with her outfit and the matching silver shoes that Maya had insisted be flat and comfortable. "Are we ready?" Maya asked, surprising herself with how calm she felt. Months ago, the thought of attending a high society event as Ethan Drake's guest would have been unthinkable. Now it felt almost right. "One last thing." Ethan pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. "This is for you, Zoe. A small gift to commemorate tonight." Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a single charm, a tiny shield. "It's a protector symbol," Ethan explained as he fastened it around Zoe's wrist. "Because you come from a long line of protectors. Your mom has kept you safe all these years, and now I promise to protect you too." "It's beautiful," Zoe whispered, touching the charm reverently. "Thank you, Dad." Maya swallowed against the emotion rising in her throat. This man who had once broken her heart was now piecing it back together, one thoughtful gesture at a time. The Drake Foundation Gala was held in the grand ballroom of the city's most prestigious hotel. As their car pulled up to the entrance, Maya could see photographers lining the red carpet, capturing images of arriving guests. "Ready?" Ethan asked, his hand finding Maya's briefly, a reassuring squeeze before he released it. "I think so," she replied, looking to Zoe, who nodded confidently. They emerged from the car together, Ethan helping Zoe first, then offering his hand to Maya. The flashbulbs began immediately, photographers recognizing the tech billionaire and calling his name for photos. Ethan guided them smoothly along the carpet, his hand resting lightly on Zoe's shoulder, Maya on her other side. To the watching world, they already looked like a family, a fact that wasn't lost on the murmuring reporters. Inside, the ballroom was transformed into an elegant wonderland of lights and flowers. Hundreds of guests in formal attire mingled, drinking champagne and discussing the foundation's charitable work. "There's a children's area set up in that alcove," Ethan pointed out to Zoe, "with activities and kid-friendly food. You can go there if you get tired of adult conversation." "Okay, but I want to stay with you for the announcement." "Absolutely. That won't happen until after dinner." As they moved through the crowd, Maya noticed the curious glances directed their way. Ethan Drake rarely brought dates to these events, and never a child. The speculation was palpable. "Ethan, darling." A striking woman in her 60s approached, kissing Ethan's cheek. "The gala is magnificent as always." "Thank you, Mother. I'd like you to meet someone very special." He placed his hand gently on Zoe's shoulder. "This is Zoe, my daughter." Maya watched Ethan's mother carefully, ready to protect Zoe from any negative reaction. But Eleanor Drake's surprise quickly transformed into wonder as she knelt to Zoe's level, social graces never faltering. "Your daughter?" "Well, hello, Zoe. I'm Eleanor. It seems I'm your grandmother." She studied the child's face with undisguised fascination. "You have the Drake eyes, unmistakably." "My dad says I have his eyes, but my mom's smile," Zoe replied politely. Eleanor's gaze shifted to Maya, recognition dawning. Ms. Fletcher. It's been quite some time. Mrs. Drake. Maya nodded coolly. I see we have much to discuss, Eleanor said, rising gracefully. But not now. Tonight is about welcoming this beautiful child to the family. She returned her attention to Zoe. I hope we'll have time to get acquainted properly, dear. I've never been a grandmother before. I've never been a granddaughter before, Zoe replied seriously. So we're both new at this. Eleanor laughed, genuine delight replacing her initial shock. Cleverness clearly runs in the family. Ethan, we'll talk later. For now, enjoy introducing your daughter to everyone. As Eleanor moved away, Maya released the breath she'd been holding. That went better than expected. Mother has always been adaptable, and she's wanted grandchildren for years. Ethan looked relieved as well. The real test will be. Victoria, Maya finished for him, spotting Ethan's sister approaching with determined strides. Victoria Drake was as elegant and intimidating as Maya remembered, tall, impeccably dressed, with the same penetrating blue eyes as her brother, but none of his warmth. Ethan, there you are? I've been looking everywhere. Victoria's gaze swept over Maya with barely concealed disdain before landing on Zoe. Her expression faltered slightly. And who might this be? Victoria, this is my daughter Zoe. Ethan's voice was firm, brooking no argument. Zoe, this is your Aunt Victoria. Victoria recovered quickly, social training taking over. How unexpected. Hello, Zoe. Hello. Since you left my brother's employment. Victoria, Ethan warned quietly. What? I'm simply making conversation. Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. Perhaps we should discuss this privately, Ethan, before you make any public announcements. There's nothing to discuss. Zoe is my daughter. I'm acknowledging her tonight. That decision is final. Victoria's composure slipped momentarily. Without a paternity test? Without legal verification? Ethan, be reasonable. You can't just claim a child based on. That's enough. Ethan's voice was low but commanding. Zoe, why don't you and your mom check out the dessert table while I have a quick word with your aunt? Maya gladly led Zoe away, though not before catching Victoria's expression, a mixture of fury and calculation that sent warning signals through Maya's protective instincts. I don't think she likes me, Zoe observed as they examined elaborate chocolate sculptures at the dessert display. It's not about you, sweetheart. It's adult complications. Because she tried to separate you and Dad? Maya blinked in surprise. How did you know about that? I heard you and Dad talking about it when you thought I was asleep. Zoe selected a chocolate truffle from a passing tray. She doesn't want us to be a family. Your dad won't let her interfere this time, Maya assured her, though her own doubts lingered. Victoria Drake was formidable and resourceful, a dangerous combination. Ethan rejoined them shortly, his expression tightly controlled. Everything's fine. Victoria has been reminded of certain financial realities that depend on her cooperation. You threatened her? I clarified her options. His smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Come, dinner is about to be served. The meal passed pleasantly enough, with Zoe charming the other guests at their table with her intelligent observations and quick wit. Maya watched with a mixture of pride and anxiety as her daughter navigated this new social territory with surprising ease. After dessert, Ethan excused himself to prepare for his speech. As the foundation's chairman, he would address the crowd before making the personal announcement about Zoe. Are you nervous? Maya asked Zoe as they waited. A little, but Dad said I don't have to say anything if I don't want to. I just have to stand next to him. That's right. Just be yourself. That's more than enough. The lights dimmed slightly as Ethan took the stage, commanding the attention of the room with his natural authority and charisma. He spoke briefly about the foundation's accomplishments over the past year, their goals for the future, and the importance of giving back to the community. Before we conclude tonight's formalities, he said, his voice carrying clearly through the ballroom, I have a personal announcement to make. He paused, his gaze finding Maya and Zoe in the crowd. I'd like to ask my daughter, Zoe, and her mother, Maya Fletcher, to join me on stage. A murmur rippled through the assembled guests as Maya guided Zoe toward the steps at the side of the stage. She could feel the weight of hundreds of curious stares, hear the whispered speculations, but kept her focus on Zoe's small hand in hers. Ethan welcomed them with a warm smile, placing one hand on Zoe's shoulder as they faced the crowd together. Many of you have known me for years, he began, But none of you have known the most important part of my story until now. 6 years ago, through a series of unfortunate misunderstandings, I lost contact with the woman I loved and didn't know she was carrying my child. Maya felt her breath catch at the public acknowledgement of their past relationship. I've spent those years searching for them both, and by an extraordinary twist of fate, was recently reunited with them. Ethan looked down at Zoe with undisguised love. My daughter, Zoe, is the greatest gift I never knew I had, and I'm standing here tonight to officially acknowledge her as a Drake and welcome her into our family. Applause rippled through the crowd, led enthusiastically by Eleanor Drake from her table near the front. Victoria's reaction was hidden in the shadows at the back of the room. I want to thank Maya, Ethan continued, his gaze shifting to meet hers, for raising our daughter with such wisdom, courage, and love, for protecting her and nurturing her into the extraordinary person she is becoming. More applause, warmer now as the assembled guests responded to the genuine emotion in his voice. Zoe, I've missed 6 years of your life, but I promise to be there for every moment I possibly can from now on. You and your mother have made my life immeasurably richer just by being in it again. Zoe, moved by her father's words, spontaneously hugged him around the waist. The crowd's reaction was immediate, a collective "ah" followed by enthusiastic applause. As they left the stage, Maya felt a curious lightness. The secret was out. Zoe was officially acknowledged as Ethan Drake's daughter. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The remainder of the evening passed in a blur of introductions and congratulations. Zoe eventually retreated to the children's area when the attention became overwhelming, leaving Maya and Ethan to navigate the social aftermath of their announcement. That went well, I think, Ethan said quietly as they watched Zoe from across the room, where she was teaching another child how to make origami frogs. Better than I expected, Maya admitted, though I noticed Victoria left immediately after your speech. She'll adjust or she won't. Either way, it doesn't change anything about Zoe's place in my life. Maya studied him, this new Ethan who placed his daughter above all other considerations, even his relationship with his powerful sister. You really have changed. Not changed so much as remembered what truly matters. His gaze was intense, focused entirely on her. Maya. He was interrupted by his mother approaching, champagne in hand. Ethan, darling, the Baxters are asking about your technology initiative. Would you mind terribly speaking with them briefly? Of course. He glanced apologetically at Maya. I'll be right back. Eleanor stayed behind, her assessing gaze now fixed on Maya. So, Miss Fletcher, it seems we have a granddaughter in common. It seems we do. She's remarkable, intelligent, poised, obviously well-raised. Eleanor sipped her champagne thoughtfully. You've done an excellent job with her. Thank you. I confess I was surprised to see you again. After you left so suddenly. I didn't leave, Mrs. Drake. I was paid to disappear. Maya kept her voice low but firm. A fact I believe you were aware of at the time. Eleanor had the grace to look slightly uncomfortable. Victoria believed she was protecting Ethan and the company. I didn't approve of her methods, but I understood her concerns. Her concerns about a security specialist not being suitable for the Drake heir. Her concerns about anyone who might be interested in Ethan primarily for his wealth and position. You must understand, Ms. Fletcher, many women have tried to advance themselves through association with my son. I never wanted Ethan's money. I loved him. The admission slipped out before Maya could stop it. Eleanor studied her thoughtfully. Yes, I believe you did. And I think, perhaps, you still do. Before Maya could respond to this uncomfortably perceptive observation, Ethan returned. Sorry about that. Unavoidable business talk. Quite all right, darling. Miss Fletcher and I were having a lovely chat about family. Eleanor smiled diplomatically. I should circulate. But Ethan, do bring Zoe to Sunday brunch next week. I'd like to get to know my granddaughter properly. After she departed, Ethan turned to Maya. Everything okay? Your mother is perceptive. She always has been. It made childhood very challenging, impossible to get away with anything. He smiled slightly. What did she say to you? Nothing important. Maya wasn't ready to discuss Eleanor's observation about her feelings for Ethan. It's getting late. We should probably take Zoe home soon. Of course. Let me just say a few goodbyes. As they prepared to leave, Maya collected a sleepy Zoe from the children's area. The evening had been exciting but exhausting for a 6-year-old, and she was clearly ready for bed. "Did I do okay?" Zoe asked as Maya helped her with her coat. "You were perfect, sweetheart. Your dad was so proud of you. Is he coming home with us?" The innocent question caught Maya off guard. "No, honey. He'll go to his home, and we'll go to ours. Like always. But we're a family now, right? Families live together. Some families live in different houses," Maya explained gently. "There are lots of different kinds of families." Zoe considered this, her tired mind working through the complexities. "I wish we could all be together." "I know, sweetheart. It's complicated. Grown-ups always say that when they don't want to explain things." Maya smiled at her daughter's perceptiveness. "You're right. The truth is, your dad and I are still figuring out our relationship. We both love you very much, but we need time to work out everything else." Zoe yawned widely. "Okay, but don't take too long. I like it when we're all together." The car ride back to Maya's apartment was quiet, with Zoe falling asleep against her mother's shoulder. Ethan accompanied them up, carrying the sleeping child effortlessly to her bedroom while Maya turned down the covers. "Thank you for tonight," he said softly as they retreated to the living room after tucking Zoe in. "For allowing me to acknowledge her, for being there beside us." "It was the right thing for Zoe," Maya replied, slipping off her heels with a sigh of relief. "Not just for Zoe." Ethan moved closer, his voice low and intimate in the dimly lit room. "Maya, there's something I've been wanting to tell you." "Ethan, please, just let me say this." He took a deep breath. "These past months, reconnecting with you, getting to know our daughter, it's been the happiest time of my life. And it's made me realize something I think I've always known." "What's that?" Maya asked, though she suspected she knew what was coming. "I never stopped loving you." The words hung in the air between them, charged with 6 years of separation and regret. "Even when I believed the worst, when I thought you'd taken the money and left without a word, I couldn't stop." Maya felt tears prickling behind her eyes. "Ethan, we can't just pick up where we left off. Too much has happened." "I know. I'm not asking for that." He reached for her hand, his touch gentle. "I'm asking for a chance to start again. To rebuild, slowly, whatever might be possible between us. For Zoe's sake, for all our sakes. Because what I feel for you never died, Maya. It just went dormant, waiting for the right moment to grow again." Maya looked at their joined hands, remembering all the times those hands had held hers, supported her, loved her. "I'm afraid." "Of what?" "Of trusting you. Of believing in us again. Of being hurt." She met his gaze directly. "I survived losing you once, Ethan. I don't know if I could do it again. You won't have to. I promise you, Maya, if you give me another chance, I will spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret it." The sincerity in his voice, the unwavering intensity of his gaze, it was the Ethan she remembered from before everything fell apart. The man who had seen past her professional exterior to the woman beneath, who had loved her for her strength rather than despite it. "I need time," she said finally. "This isn't just about us. It's about Zoe, about the life we've built, about the future we want for her." "I understand. I'll wait, Maya, however long it takes." He squeezed her hand gently before releasing it. "For now, knowing that you're considering it is enough." As he prepared to leave, Maya walked him to the door. The evening had been transformative in ways she hadn't anticipated, not just publicly acknowledging Zoe, but privately acknowledging the feelings that still existed between them. "Good night, Ethan. And thank you for giving Zoe such a special evening." "Good night, Maya." He hesitated, then leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. When she didn't, he placed a gentle kiss on her cheek, his lips lingering just long enough to make her heart race. Sweet dreams. After he left, Maya stood by the window, watching his car pull away from the curb. 6 months ago, she would have sworn that Ethan Drake would never be part of their lives again. Now, she couldn't imagine their future without him. The weeks following the gala brought significant changes. Ethan's public acknowledgement of Zoe created exactly the media frenzy Maya had feared, but his team managed it with surprising effectiveness. A simple statement about a family reunited after unfortunate misunderstandings satisfied most inquiries, and Ethan's legal team ensured that Zoe's privacy was fiercely protected. More importantly, Ethan kept every promise he'd made. He was present for Zoe's school events, helped with homework, spent weekend afternoons teaching her chess and discussing science. He created routines and traditions, Sunday morning pancakes, Wednesday evening video calls when he traveled for business, impromptu science experiments in his kitchen. For Maya, watching their relationship flourish was both heartwarming and terrifying. She found herself falling into an easy rhythm with Ethan, co-parenting discussions over coffee, shared pride in Zoe's accomplishments, increasingly comfortable silences that spoke of deepening trust. "You're different with him now," Layla observed during one of their regular coffee meetups. "More relaxed, more open. He's proven himself reliable," Maya admitted. "Consistent, present for Zoe in all the ways that matter. And for you." Maya hesitated. "He's attentive, respectful of my boundaries, patient. Sounds like a man who's still in love with you." "He says he is." Maya traced the rim of her coffee cup thoughtfully. "He wants another chance for us." "And what do you want?" The question hung between them as Maya considered her answer. What did she want? Safety? Certainty? The comfortable independence she'd built for herself and Zoe? Or something more complex? Partnership? Understanding? The unique connection she'd once shared with Ethan? "I want to be sure," she said finally. "Sure that this time is different. That he won't walk away again if things get difficult. Has he given you any reason to doubt his commitment?" "No. He's been perfect with Zoe. Respectful with me. Even stood up to Victoria when she tried to cause problems. So what's holding you back?" Maya sighed. "Fear, I suppose. The memory of how much it hurt last time." "You can't live your life afraid of being hurt, Maya. Not you. The woman who teaches others to face their fears and protect themselves. It's different when it's your heart at risk. Is it? Or do the same principles apply? Assess the threat realistically. Prepare yourself as best you can, but ultimately live fully despite the risks." Maya considered her friend's words long after their conversation ended. Was she allowing past pain to dictate her future happiness? Was she protecting herself at the cost of something potentially wonderful? The answer came unexpectedly, on a rainy Tuesday evening that echoed the night she and Zoe had first protected Ethan from attackers. Maya was teaching a late self-defense class when her phone rang with a call from Mrs. Patel. "Maya, you must come quickly," her neighbor said, voice tense with worry. "A woman came to your apartment, demanding to see Zoe. She claimed to be her aunt, but the child was frightened and refused to open the door. The woman became quite aggressive." "Is Zoe okay?" Maya asked, already gathering her things and signaling to her assistant instructor to finish the class. "She's with me now. She followed your safety plan perfectly, didn't open the door, called me instead." "Thank you, Mrs. Patel. I'm on my way." "Has the woman left?" "No, she's still in the hallway. She says she won't leave until she speaks with Zoe." Maya's protective instincts flared. "Call Ethan Drake. His number is on our emergency contact list. Tell him what's happening." She drove through the rain with controlled urgency, mind racing with possibilities. Victoria had been suspiciously quiet since the gala. Had she been planning something more direct? What could she possibly want with Zoe? When Maya arrived at her apartment building, she found Ethan already there, engaged in a tense conversation with his sister in the lobby. Victoria looked elegant as always, but there was something desperate in her expression that Maya hadn't seen before. "What's going on?" Maya demanded, striding toward them. "Why were you trying to see my daughter without permission?" Victoria turned, her composure slipping further at Maya's appearance. "This doesn't concern you. This is between me and my brother. Anything involving Zoe concerns me directly," Maya countered, positioning herself protectively between Victoria and the elevators. "Why were you at my apartment?" "Victoria believes she is evidence that Zoe isn't my child," Ethan explained, his voice tight with controlled anger. "She hired a private investigator to look into your background." "What?" Maya looked between the siblings in disbelief. "The timing doesn't work," Victoria insisted. "She was with another client immediately after leaving your employment. A man named Archer Reed. The investigator found evidence of an intimate relationship." "That's enough, Victoria." Ethan's voice was deadly quiet. "You need to know the truth, Ethan. You're claiming a child who might not even be yours." Maya stepped forward, anger replacing her initial shock. "Zoe is Ethan's daughter. Archer Reed was my cover assignment when I went into hiding after your brother's head of security delivered your payoff. He was a gay man who needed a female companion for public appearances to satisfy his conservative family. We were never intimate." Victoria faltered, clearly not expecting this direct rebuttal. I've seen the DNA results, Victoria, Ethan added. I had testing done weeks ago, with Maya's knowledge and permission. Zoe is unquestionably my child. You had a test done? Victoria looked genuinely surprised. Why didn't you tell me? Because it wasn't your business. Because I already knew the truth in my heart. Because I trust Maya. Ethan moved to stand beside Maya, a united front against his sister's interference. The test was for legal documentation, nothing more. Victoria's expression hardened. You've changed, Ethan. The brother I knew would never have been so careless with the Drake legacy. The brother you knew let you manipulate him into losing the best thing that ever happened to him. Ethan's voice was sad rather than angry now. I won't make that mistake again. The elevator doors opened, and Mrs. Patel emerged with Zoe, who ran immediately to her parents. Mom, Dad, she hugged them both, then looked warily at Victoria. Is she still trying to take me away? Take you away? Maya exchanged alarmed glances with Ethan. What did she say to you, Zoe? She said on the intercom that Dad wasn't really my dad, and that I needed to come with her to meet my real father. Zoe's voice trembled slightly. But I followed the safety plan like you taught me. Maya felt Ethan go rigid beside her, his expression transforming with a cold fury she'd never seen before. Victoria, he said quietly, dangerously, you need to leave. Now. And understand this, if you ever approach my daughter again without our permission, if you ever try to frighten her or undermine her security in her family, the consequences will be severe. You don't mean that. We're family. Maya and Zoe are my family. You've made your position clear. Ethan's tone left no room for argument. Goodbye, Victoria. As security escorted Victoria from the building, Maya knelt to check on Zoe. Are you okay, sweetheart? She didn't scare you too much. I was a little scared, but I remembered what you taught me about strangers. Even if they say they're family, I don't open the door unless you or Dad say it's okay. You did exactly the right thing, Ethan assured her, his voice gentle again as he addressed their daughter. I'm very proud of you. After settling Zoe with Mrs. Patel again briefly, Maya and Ethan retreated to her apartment to discuss what had happened. I'm sorry, Ethan said immediately. I never thought she'd go this far. Trying to manipulate me is one thing, but frightening Zoe. It's not your fault, Maya replied, surprising herself with how quickly she absolved him. Victoria makes her own choices. Still, I should have anticipated something like this. Should have protected you both better. We protected ourselves, Maya reminded him. That's what I've been teaching Zoe since she could understand how to be safe, how to assess threats, how to respond appropriately. Ethan looked at her with sudden intensity. That's one of the things I've always loved most about you, Maya. Your strength, your self-sufficiency, your ability to protect what matters. But, no buts. It's not a criticism. It's admiration. He moved closer, his gaze never leaving hers. You don't need me to protect you. You never have. But I want to stand beside you anyway, to face whatever comes together. In that moment, looking at this man who had chosen her and Zoe over his own sister, who had never wavered in his commitment to their daughter, who had patiently rebuilt trust one day at a time, Maya made her decision. I want that too, she said softly. To face things together. Maya, I've been afraid, she admitted. Afraid of trusting you again, of being vulnerable, of building something that could be taken away. But watching you with Zoe these past months, seeing your consistency, your patience, your love for her. She took a deep breath. I'm ready to try again, to see what we might become. The hope that transformed Ethan's face was breathtaking. Are you sure? No, she answered honestly. I'm not sure of anything except that Zoe loves you, that you love her, and that what I feel for you never really went away, no matter how hard I tried to bury it. Ethan reached for her then, his touch gentle as he cradled her face in his hands. I will spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret this decision. Just promise me one thing, Maya whispered. Anything. Promise me you'll always talk to me first. Whatever doubts, whatever fears, whatever challenges come, we face them together, honestly. I promise. His voice was solemn, the vow as binding as any marriage pledge. No more assumptions, no more believing the worst, no more letting others come between us. When his lips finally met hers, it felt like coming home after a very long journey. Different than before, deeper, more nuanced with experience and loss and rediscovery, but undeniably right. Later that evening, after they'd collected Zoe and explained in age-appropriate terms that they were going to try being a family in a new way, the three of them sat together on Maya's couch. Zoe nestled between them as Ethan read from her favorite book. "Does this mean you'll be here all the time now?" Zoe asked sleepily, looking up at her father. "Not right away," Ethan explained. "Your mom and I are going to take things slowly. But yes, eventually, if everything goes well, we'll all be together much more often." "Good," Zoe murmured, her eyes drifting closed. "That's how it should be." Maya met Ethan's gaze over their daughter's head, seeing in his eyes the same wonder she felt, that after everything, after 6 years of separation and pain and rebuilding separate lives, they had somehow found their way back to each other. There would be challenges ahead. Victoria's interference, the media's continued interest in their story, the complexities of blending their very different worlds. But for the first time, Maya truly believed they could face it all together, a family forged through loss and reunion, stronger for having been broken and mended. Sometimes the heart's greatest protection isn't armor or walls or vigilance. Sometimes it's the courage to be vulnerable again, to trust despite past wounds, to believe that love, when it's real, when it's tested, when it's chosen daily, can indeed survive anything. In saving Ethan that rainy night months ago, Maya and Zoe had unwittingly saved themselves as well. They had opened the door to healing, to wholeness, to a future none of them could have imagined alone. If you've been touched by this story of forgiveness, second chances, and the power of trust to heal even the deepest wounds, please like this video and subscribe to Lux Love Chronicles with Mr. Wentworth for more powerful stories that remind us love is always worth fighting for, especially when it comes in unexpected packages at the most surprising times. Remember, sometimes the greatest protectors aren't those who shield us from all harm, but those who teach us how to be brave enough to risk our hearts again.